can't help being afraid.
Bienvenidos, students. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Welcome to Schlock Cinema 101, the disconcerting, eerie, totally cool, renowned class I have in this institution of higher learning, which concentrates on the classic cult B- movies from the miasma of your mind and everywhere from the 1940s to current present day. And I am so delighted. ¿Cómo estás? I mean, creo que sí. I'm very fluent in Spanish, English, Portuguese, Brooklynese, everything you can think of. And today's movie may make you think that you are in a foreign country or a foreign planet, because today's film is the 1961 K. Gordon Murray Mexican wrestling film, Doctor of Doom. Doctor of Doom has everything that you'd want from a schlock movie. It's got mad scientists, gorilla men named Gomar, a sex change person when Gomar becomes Vendetta. It's got funny little middle-aged, short little policemen who are sharpshooters. It's got all kinds of bizarre things, everything you'd possibly want. It's got masked wrestling people and a masked bad guy. It is absolutely delightful, and as they would say in Mexico, it is confuso, diabolico, constipado, and confuso, because yo no sabe the exact terms for those in Spanish. But anyway, it is going to be so delightful. Los luchaderos contra el médico asesino. The film, as I said, was made in 1961. It was re-released, if you will, in the United States in 1962. Later, in the 80s, it was re-released under the title Rock and Roll Wrestling Women versus the Aztec Ape, with added rock and roll music by a good friend of mine, Johnny Legend, rockabilly singer out of Southern California and wrestler. And he tours around with his own wrestling group. And the film was produced, again, by a notorious American producer. And anybody, really, who's over 50 or around 50, who's reached that essential half-century mark in their lives, was subjected to Saturday matinees throughout the United States. Doesn't matter what state you were in. And these Saturday matinees were K. Gordon Murray imports. And what K. Gordon Murray did is he went to every country in the world, though mainly Mexico, and brought in every kind of children's story or fractured kind of discombobulated tale that he could, and he released it and dumped it onto the children's market or direct-to-television. And what he originally did was bought the movies after they had already been dubbed by their original source countries. So like he'd buy them out of Mexico and they'd have already been dubbed down there. Then he discovered it's cheaper and cooler to dub them in the United States. So he came up with in Coral Gables, which is where he lived, he came up with Sound Lab Studios. And he did his own dubbing. But as you'll see, it's a funny kind of dubbing, and a lot of the sentences and the syntax and the grammar, the dynamics, if you will, don't really make sense in terms of American idioms and metaphors and diphthongs, that kind of thing. Because when K. Gordon Murray had the films dubbed at his Coral Gables studio, which Sound Lab, they wanted to make the dialogue, in a pathetic attempt to convince American kids that they were actually shot in English, they wanted to make the dialogue match the actors' lips and their movements. And so for that reason, they say really weird things. Like you'll see at the beginning of the movie, the short little policeman goes, "I've got to call Grandma and warn her. Grandma can't hear." And then he gets on the phone and like shouts, "Well, if she can't hear, why is he calling her?" And then they talk about Gomar, as you'll see later, the ape-man, who's sort of a semi-successful experiment. I mean, in that he's got all this strength. But they go, Gomar knocked over this row of policemen like a row of clay pigeons. What? But none of that makes sense, but it kind of matched their lips, and that's why they did it. Now, students, let's take a look at the plot of Doctor of Doom. This is really directed by Rene Cardona again, who directed many, many of these films. And this is really one of the best in the series. There's many other wrestling women movies, but this is really, I have shown this in the 80s at many nightclubs throughout the Seattle area, and it's always got a really, really high response. But the plot is, you got this mad scientist, you know, an asesino médico, if you will, por favor, running around kidnapping beautiful women and like performing brain transplants on them. And unfortunately, he's a mad scientist, but he isn't a very good scientist, and nothing he does really works, and they keep perishing, you know, on the operating table because he just isn't doing something right. And what happens is he finally kidnaps a beautiful lady scientist because you'll hear at the beginning they're talking about, they think the problem is that they're kidnapping poor, uneducated women. If they get somebody smarter, maybe with a PhD or at least an MBA, you know, they'll do better. It doesn't turn out to be true. The brain transplant does not work, but it turns out that she is the sister, the twin sister, if you will, since they look exactly the same, of famous Mexican wrestler Gloria Venus. What a totally cool name. And Gloria Venus is played by Lorena Velázquez, who was a very famous actress in Mexican cinema and throughout these movies, and she's a very extremely amply proportioned brunette, and that's sort of the extent of her acting ability, but she's very, very good and was very popular in all these movies. And she plays the wrestling lady who is contacted by the police in an effort to kind of set up the mad scientist and to find out how to stop him. Also in Doctor of Doom is Golden Ruby, a very cool American wrestler played by American actress Elizabeth Campbell. And she's sort of the, kind of dishwater blonde counterpart to Gloria Venus, and she sort of plays the kind of the role of the girlfriend in American movies of that era. She's kind of involved in the action, but she's definitely like a sidekick to Gloria Venus, who's clearly the star of the movie. When Golden Ruby and Gloria Venus aren't mixing it up and rumbling as a tag team with other wrestlers in the Mexico City wrestling milieu, they're out like boxing and fighting and harassing and hassling the imbecile henchmen of the Doctor of Doom. Or else they're fighting Gomar, the Doctor of Doom's gorilla man experiment, who has the strength of, I don't know, 20 or 30 men, and he's not bulletproof, but I think one of his problems, one of the things that makes Gomar so angry is that he's dressed in this real tacky, kind of glowy shirt, which is somewhat wrestling-esque. I mean, a real poor man's wrestling outfit, and that could be part of the problem. If any of this plot sounds familiar, you may be reminded, or it just might pop into your mind from some phantom brain cell, that this is the exact same plot that Rene Cardona, the director of this film, reused in the 1970s, but he added a lot more blood, nudity, and color, and called it Night of the Bloody Apes. We're not going to go any further on that tangent because that film is a little too adult and a wee bit too graphic for Professor Fred's show here on this channel. And so let's let that go. Getting back to Lorena Velázquez. Lorena Velázquez had a very successful career in Mexican cinema and later went into television from the 1950s through the 1970s. She was active in films and Telenova, a popular television show in Mexico. Other Mexican movies Lorena Velázquez appeared in were Santos versus the Vampire Women, 1962, in which she played the villain vampire queen. The 1964 classic Wrestling Women versus the Aztec Mummy, 1964's Diabolical Hatchet, a Santo movie, and Santo Attacks the Witches from 1964. Elizabeth Campbell, the ravishing, munificent, exotic blonde from the US of A, who co-stars in Doctor of Doom, went on to star in several Mexican films, Mexican wrestling films, Las Luchaderas cinema, if you will, and was very successful in the Mexican wrestling movie movement. Apparently, later in her career, she left Mexico to go to New York City to attempt to do some TV work, but nothing's ever been heard from her since or about her. Apparently, Mexico City isn't like New York, New York, because in New York, New York, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. She did make it in Mexico, but apparently did not shine in the Big Apple, at least as far as we know. Students, we are having so much fun discussing all this, these Mexican cinema movies and all these interesting facts, but we do need to move along. And we need to get into our film, our película, if you will. But before we do, this is a class after all. It is a credit-earning class. It is a part of an institution of higher and venal learning. So, here's our first pop quiz. Get your pens, pencils, and paper ready. In the long history of Mexican cinema, I think everyone would agree that the early 1960s is the absolute heyday of that movement. And by the early 1960s, the producers and directors of Mexican horror movies, and Mexican horror movies, one thing you might notice, really resemble like the classic Universal horror films of the 1940s, which is very, very cool. Unfortunately, at the time they were being made, they're about 15 years out of date. But it is very cool. They're not cheaply made films. They're very, very well cut, and the shadows and lighting is very German, impressionistic stuff. It's good stuff. But they did feel by the 1960s that Mexican films did need some American talent. And they wanted to import a little bigger names than Elizabeth Campbell, who's not to be confused with Joanne Campbell, who did I'm the Girl from Wolverton Mountain. Anyway, so Mexican studios started hiring big names, big names. And as our first pop quiz question, which of these American thespians did not star in a Mexican movie? Now that's the tricky part. So you've really got to think about this. It's a little tricky and deceitful and entrapment oriented. Here are the 4 American stars. They are Boris Karloff, John Carradine, Lana Turner, and Robert, knock this battery off my shoulder, Conrad. So students, pen and pencils ready? Get down to the paper. Let's start coming up with the answer to that pop quiz. And I'll be back for a few short breaks, but right now it's time to get to Doctor of Doom. Igor, chain everybody up, start the projector, and roll 'em.
a moment there, I thought you were going to lose tonight.
I'd hate to be called a braggart, sis.
But up to now, no woman has pinned me. Let me take a short shower, will you, honey? And then we'll go out to supper.
You know something, Gloria? If I were you, I'd be afraid of getting my arm broken.
You never can tell.
All set. We'll operate immediately.
Right, Doctor.
You can bring her in. Another failure. And this makes the fourth one. For a moment, he fought to go on living. Only one thing could have caused this. The brain I transplanted wasn't strong enough to resist the shock.
All of the brains that we've tried to transplant up to now have come from totally uneducated women. They had no preparation whatsoever, and their IQs were extremely low. Don't you believe that we'd achieve better results from a superior brain with a high IQ from a young and intelligent woman?
I couldn't be absolutely sure about it, but there is a strong possibility that you're right. Anyway, we're going to go on trying until we overcome all the obstacles. Gomar is acting up again. We better go look in on him. Quiet down, Gomar. Quiet, I say. This is my greatest achievement so far. Half man and half beast.
But, Doctor...
Yes, I know. I've done what no one else has been able to do. I've transplanted a gorilla's brain into a living human being. It's time he was fed. Get back, Gomar! Get back! Do as I say. There you have the results of our experiment. This man has been going through a slow but relentless transformation. indicating that the animal instincts and characteristics are starting to predominate in this symbiotic relationship. In a little more time now, the metamorphosis will be complete.
Do you mean that he'll eventually become 100% gorilla?
Quiet down. Quiet, Gomar. Do as I say. Quiet down. I'm not going to take that meat away from you. Calm down now. Calm down. You can go on eating. The only reason he obeys me now is because I have him in a hypnotic state. But sooner or later, I'll undoubtedly lose all control over him. Calm down. Go on eating, Gomar. Go on eating. I must continue to make progress. I can't stop here. I must transplant a human brain into another human being. That's the goal that I've set for myself. Unfortunately, the human metabolism is quite weak as compared to that of animals. But in my opinion, the female of our species reacts more positively in these experiments. For many biological reasons.
When will we make another attempt, Doctor?
As soon as we find someone that fills our needs.
You mean an intellectual woman?
It could be. Perhaps one that selected a professional career.
Extra, extra! Another woman murdered by the mad doctor. Paper, sir? Extra, extra! Police say criminal still at large. Extra, extra! The mad doctor claims a fourth victim.
Go out and get me a paper, will you, please?
Certainly, glad to.
Good morning, Boris.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning,
Good morning,
Professor.
Professor.
The things that are going on in this city lately are hideous. Did you go out last night, Alice?
Yes, Professor. I watched my sister wrestle a while, and we had supper together. Have you ever watched a wrestling match, Professor?
Huh? Oh, no. You must know that I simply abhor violence, Alice. It disgusts me.
It's really a fantastic sport, sir, and I think you'd enjoy it once you saw it.
No, I couldn't bear it. Did you two stay out late?
Till midnight, I think.
And did your fiancé accompany you to watch the wrestling?
Well, there's a certain boy that I've been out with on occasion, but last night he worked. So I'm afraid no one took us home.
But two women alone could be in danger. Surely you read all about that criminal killer in the city we call the Mad Doctor.
And don't you worry about it, Professor. That animal can do me no harm.
Oh, no? And why not?
I wear my little rabbit's foot, you know. I'm perfectly safe wearing this.
It makes me so mad when I hear the girls start to joke about this. It's just incredible, the happenings in this city lately. There's no protection. There are no guarantees, and yet you girls...
Professor?
Yes. Run an analysis on this. I'll be back for it.
I'll get to work on it, Professor.
Fine, thank you.
Professor, the medicine you ordered a few weeks ago finally got here. Can you check it now?
Oh, yes. I'll go out and sign for it. Thank you, Boris. Thank you. Alice, I'll say more about this later.
Reports show that these nocturnal acts are continuing, and the police are still accusing that criminal who's caused so much public discussion. Due to his actions, he's been named the Mad Doctor. The woman he killed last night is in the morgue. She was found early this morning, and as always happens, police found marks showing that the brain had been removed from the unfortunate girl's body. They admit that the case is a mystery still, but they'll work until they run across a solution.
Any news?
No, there's still not a thing. I questioned several persons who went there to see the corpse, but no one could give us any information.
I only say that this particular criminal is disconcerting. He's an excellent surgeon, and the proof lies in the perfection of the operations that he carried out. He certainly knows his job. But just why is he doing it? I'm at a loss to find any motivation. Is he a sadist? Some madman?
Well, we investigated all the doctors in the medical profession, and we questioned several, but got no results at all.
And for as long as he's on the loose, it'll mean he's a threat to society. This criminal has to be found. Otherwise, these attacks will continue.
What are you going to do? I'm going to phone my grandmother, make her stay home. No use inviting bad luck. Grandma can't hear. Grandma, dear! Don't go out tonight!
My experiment must not be held up, so you're going to look for another woman.
But, Chief, the police are coming too close for comfort. They might catch us.
There are a lot of patrols out watching all the principal highways, and they're searching all cars.
Silence. You're going to do exactly as I order you, and Gomar will go with you.
So he goes. You mean that he can't be hurt by bullets?
Certainly he can. But I've foreseen that possibility, so he'll be wearing special equipment. No one will be able to stop him, so you men have nothing at all to worry about. Gomar, those men are your friends, your good friends. You will obey them. You will obey them, because they are your friends.
Listen, Chief. Who is the next woman? Do you want us to get anyone in particular?
Yes, this is her photograph.
Good night, Boris.
Good night, Professor.
Good night, Alice. Hadn't you better go? It's getting awfully late. And no one told you to stay here all night.
I know, only I wanted to get this experiment done.
Ah, what an eager little girl. Now, you remind me to raise your salary. But I want you to go now. And another thing, I'm going to accompany
Oh,
you.
no, there's no need for that. I'll just grab a cab and I'll be home in 10 minutes.
Yes, Alice, but I think I should...
Now, don't insist, Professor. The night air is pretty cold, and I don't want you to catch cold. See you tomorrow, sir.
Good night, Alice.
Have a pleasant evening, Boris.
Why, thank you, Alice. Good night now.
Gomar, those men are enemies. Go after them, and hurry.
Stop! Who are you? Answer me. You all stop right there, or I'll fire.
Gomar! Gomar! Let's get out of here! Pronto!
The boys have brought the woman in.
Good. Get everything ready to operate.
Chief, Gomar really moves fast. Keep batter those police around like so many clay pigeons.
You did a good job, Gomar. You will go now. Take him along.
She's not going to pull through. She's dying.
Hurry. Get the quatermain. One failure after another, Boris.
The operation is tremendously difficult, Doctor.
Isn't there any human being that can stand the shock?
Perhaps a stronger type of woman. An athlete. One that can take more punishment than the average. If we could find a woman like that, Doctor, she'd probably live through the operation.
Four policemen torn to pieces by strange beings. Police completely confused.
Chief, we identified the girl he murdered.
Perfect. Only who is she?
It's in my book. Alice Fontaine.
That name sounds French.
Who asked you? Was another girl living with her?
No one else.
Her family?
A sister, whom she saw frequently. Who's Gloria Venus?
That's her, there.
Thank you.
Come on, girls.
Gloria Venus?
Yes.
I'm from headquarters. I'm sorry that it's my duty to bring you this bad news, miss.
I don't understand.
It's your sister.
Is she sick?
She suffered a very bad accident.
Alice was hurt?
Would you accompany me, please?
To the doctor?
To identify her.
Last night, Alice left much later than usual. I offered to accompany her to her house, but she said she'd go alone. She said she would go to taxi. Oh, this thing is just horrible. Poor girl.
It's too bad you don't have other things to tell us, Professor. There's no evidence to help us.
We could find out whether she took a taxi or not.
It's obvious she didn't. But anyway, Tommy, you and I will check that.
Just what is that maniac trying to do? Operating on all those women that way.
I'd sure like to find out why, Professor. You see, we think this surgery is behind it all.
I just can't tell you how sorry I feel, Gloria, about Alice's death. I adored her as I would a daughter. I want to help you if I can, so please don't fail to call on me.
Thank you, Professor. And should you run across more facts, I'd like for you to inform me.
Oh, yes, of course.
I swear not to rest until I find the one who killed my poor sister. I won't let the killer get away this time.
Don't worry. Have faith in the local police. The thing is, we don't have the smallest bit of evidence to work on. But sooner or later, the man we're trying to hunt down is going to commit an error. And when he does, we'll get him.
Yes, that's true.
It's simply useless to go on with the experiments in this way. All the women have died on the operating table.
Let's say you're right, Chief. Then what will you do?
We've got to find women with incredible physical stamina. But at the moment, I must admit that I don't know where to start to look for them.
One moment. Please, girls, one moment. This is very important. Now listen to me. I'd like you to meet another young lady who's spent many years in the wrestling game. She's come here today to join you. This is Golden Ruby. Ruby, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to our star wrestler, Gloria Venus.
It's a pleasure to know you.
The pleasure is mine.
Ruby came to start training. She'll have a match very soon. I hope you take time out to work with her and show her all the things you know.
I'd be glad to, Dick.
Fine, and I'd like to thank you. I must be going. Good
Thanks
luck,
a lot.
Ruby.
Shall we get to work?
Whatever you say.
What are you doing here?
I want those weights there.
You can't have them. They're ours.
Don't give me orders.
Inspector Rogers. No, there's no more information as yet. Call later. These reporters are like locusts. Anything new?
Not one clue. She could have climbed into a car, only I know it wasn't a taxi. We investigated the drivers and nothing.
I only know that this case would make a madman sane, Chief. There's no evidence, no motives, nothing. No one knows who the man is either.
The only thing we can do is wait.
For another crime?
There are really some fine wrestlers here, Gloria. I won't win easily, I know that.
Hey, that's just modesty. You know your business, I could see it.
Know something? I've watched you and your eyes have such a sad look. Tell me, is anything wrong?
No. Well, all right. My poor sister. It's just something I can't forget. See, they murdered her 3 nights ago.
I'm so sorry. Forgive me, but I really...
No, I don't want you to feel bad about it.
But if there's anything I can do to help...
Thank you. You're a real swell girl. Are you staying nearby here, Ruby?
At the Splendid Hotel. Why?
My new apartment is large, and you must be lonely. I thought maybe you'd like to come and live there.
I'd be delighted to. But don't you think I'd turn out to be a burden, Gloria?
Of course not, and actually, you'd be doing me a favor. Because now, more than ever, I need someone else around me.
Well, in that case, it's a deal.
Tonight, at 2 Falls with no time limit, we present the American Cyclone, the Golden Ruby, teaming with Gloria Venus, fighting against the Gazelle and Bertha Galindo. Why did you bring me here?
Because we could run across some clues.
Yeah, sure it could. You wanted to watch Gloria wrestle.
It could be.
Well, you better watch out and not get fresh with her because she'll put her foot in your mouth, Sonny. And so long, Pete. You'd be pretty talking like this.
Quiet down, shortstop.
Come in. Oh, Professor Wright, what a pleasant surprise to have a visit from you. I'd like for you to meet my teammate, the Golden Ruby.
It's a pleasure indeed, young lady.
Hello. Did you like to fight, Professor?
I'm sorry to say it, but I don't like such spectacles.
May I come in?
Sure.
Thank you.
Me too?
Good evening, sir. How are
Of
you?
course. I'd like to introduce Mike Henderson and his assistant here, Tommy Johnson, the Golden Ruby.
Hello there. How are you?
Delighted.
Not as delighted as I am, sweetheart.
Who would have thought that you liked wrestling, Professor?
I just can't bear it, really. It's more than I can take. I only came here because I wanted to tell you certain facts that I just remembered tonight.
Really?
About Alice, Professor?
Yes. I remember that she spoke about a boy that she was seeing on occasions. After work, I guess.
Did she tell you his name, sir?
No. But I thought that might help you a little.
A little or a lot, it's still something.
It's possible. Many thanks, Professor. I'll investigate this man tomorrow, sir.
I'd like you to know that I'm always ready to assist you. You don't know how I itch to get my hands on that cruel maniac.
I understand, sir.
Well, I'll be saying goodnight now. I must be going.
Well, good night, Professor.
Excuse me, please.
Pleased to know you.
Good night.
Good night.
Girls, Tommy wants to invite you to supper and dancing.
Who?
How about it?
I think that's great.
What are we waiting for?
Perfect.
She has plans for me.
No, they might have more out there. Let's stay right here.
Are you all right? They didn't hurt your arm, did they?
No.
But look, Chief, why didn't you tell us that those two girls were wrestlers? You should have seen the way they batted me around. Oh, you two are a pair of useless fools. At long last, I find a specimen that is perfect for our work, and you botch up the whole job. Imbeciles.
I'm absolutely certain that those men will try to get you again. Now then, if they do return, I think it's best to react in another manner. That is, if you're interested in helping the law.
I think you can talk plainer.
Look, in this case, there's not a scrap of solid evidence to help us discover that insane murderer. Alice's fiancé came in, and we questioned him, too. He's completely clean. And besides, he's broken up about her murder. It's a shame. We'll have to begin at the beginning once more, with nothing.
How can we help you solve the case?
If my suspicions are based on fact, and those men try to kidnap you again, in that case, I want you to let yourselves be taken. Tommy and I will be following close behind you. Now, if you do that, the men will lead us directly to their hideout and to their boss.
Maybe your idea will work. All I need is a little luck to avenge my sister.
Now, don't you worry, baby doll, 'cause I intend to watch out for you.
Do you mean it, Tommy?
Mm-hmm.
I feel so safe and protected.
See you Wednesday night, Johnny. strong feeling that we're about to be attacked. Are you afraid?
No, but I sure would feel a lot happier if I knew that Mike were out there in the shadows.
I know why you say it, and me too. Look there. That light.
Do you think it's a signal?
I don't know. But be prepared just in case.
X4 to all cars. Prepare your sectors to help us when you get the command. That is all. We'll stop this right now.
No. You're trying to spoil things. Let's follow their car.
Get him! Gloria, don't. Watch out, Gloria! Golden Ruby, be careful! Squash him! Smash him! I'm sorry, students. I just got too into that kidnapping scene of Gloria and the Golden Ruby. And, of course, it wouldn't have happened if they hadn't been set up because those imbecilic henchmen of the mad scientist had already gotten their butts kicked by Gloria and the Golden Ruby, the glow of Mexico, if you will, from the 1960s. And so they had to hire Gomar. They had to use Gomar to do their dirty work. So that's the only reason that it happened. And if they hadn't been set up, I'm sure Gloria and Golden Ruby could have done a hammer lock or a flying leap or a dyspeptic hammer kick or some such thing on Gomar and taking care of him. But I certainly hope the detective boyfriend's plan works because Gloria and the Golden Ruby are in a very tight spot. All right, students, enough speculation on Gomar. Enough already. Let's answer our question that I asked earlier, the first pop quiz. Pop quiz number 1. Por favor, and that is, you remember I told you that in the early 1960s, Mexican cinema producers and directors actively sought out big American names, bigger than Elizabeth Campbell, to star in their Mexican horror movies and wrestling luchadas films. And I asked you which of the 4 American actors that I listed had starred in American movies. And remember the 4 that I named were Boris Karloff, John Carradine, Lana Turner, and Robert, knock this battery off my shoulder, Conrad. Okay, I told you it was tricky. Are you ready for the answers as to which one of those American movie stars starred in Mexican movies? They all did. The answer is A, B, C, and D. Every one of them did. Boris Karloff starred in The Fear Chamber, 1968, and The Snake People, 1971. Many, actually 4 Mexican movies that were all dubbed together. John Carradine starred in Pact with the Devil. Lana Turner starred in Ven a Cantar Conmigo, which I think roughly translates to Come Sing With Me. And that's a comedy about a girl who likes to talk to animals. And after that, Robert Conrad starred in a Mexican Western. So all those actors and actresses were in Mexican movies, believe it or not. And ladies and gentlemen, just on a personal note, because as a Hollywood kind of guy, as well as an academician, you know, and a professor asesino, a mad professor as I am, you know, I sometimes bring in kind of personal notes. And in the early 1970s, I used to show these kind of movies live in colleges. And a local director here, Joe Toohey, Channel 7 in Seattle, would appear as the Count, and it was kind of a 60s kind of get-up kind of thing. And he told me that he had actually been asked to go down and direct one of these movies down in Mexico in the early 1960s. And according to him, Mexican studios would often hire American TV directors to fly down to Mexico City and for about 10 days direct these movies. And they all had a lot of fun, and it was a good experience. Again, when you look at these movies, I mean, the equipment and everything they're using is very, very good. I mean, the films don't look like a lot of the terrible American 1950s movies we show. They're wonderful movies, but they're just like 15 years out of date. I mean, they've got all the Freund-esque shadows and everything. It's Mexican cinema is a very, very popular area of psychotronic and psychotropic and arcane film study for everybody. So it's a lot of fun. These films are very, very good. And there's a whole vampire series, too, where vampires are resurrected by weird notes on bizarre pipe organs, and the witch's mirror, and they all have, and of course the brainiac with his like 1.5-mile tongue that sucks people's brains out. There's all kinds of themes that run through the cinema, which is what really makes it so fascinating and so incoherent and so constipatedly, flaccidly delightful. Well, we could keep having fun like this forever, students, but I could go on, and believe me, I could ramble on forever on this, but it's time for our second pop quiz. And that quiz, the question goes very similarly to this. Lorena Velázquez starred in several Mexican wrestling movies. This isn't the only one that she was in, of course. She was sort of the leading actress in these films, and she started in a 1961 wrestling movie. So, this wrestling movie, to give you a hint as to what it was about, it was the first in a long-running series of Los Luchaderos movies, of wrestling type films, to star a masked superhero. And so my question to you, the pop quiz number 2, is what is the name of the masked wrestling superhero who stars in the 1961 first wrestling film starring Lorena Velázquez? And for extra credit, tell me what the name of that movie is. And you will get extra credit. You will get enough credit to graduate within the next 3 quarters, I guarantee you. So that's our pop quiz. We'll get back to that after showing some more of the movie. But before we go any further, I need Igor. Igor has been in his dungeon. He's been working on all kinds of wrestling techniques. He's really been excited and ecstatic and mahoganized and varnished by this movie. And he's really excited. He's going to show us some prime wrestling moves, motifs, and innuendos. Igor, take it away.
You did an excellent job, Gomar.
That's the danger signal.
You idiots. You allowed yourselves to be followed.
There are 2 men, Chief, and they look like cops.
Get your hands up.
Ooh. What a right! Where are the others? Let's get going. Ghosty! Oh, yeah? Oh.
Are you all right? Then come on.
Tommy, wake up. Hold your fire, it's me.
You almost got it.
So it's you.
Stay where you are, everyone. Grab these men.
Hold my gun.
All right, get going.
Come on. After you, Chief.
Police capture Mad Doctor and his gang.
Hello. He's interrogating the Mad Doctor.
You might as well open up and tell us everything you know. A complete confession would do a lot in your favor. Answer me. Are there other men in this gang that got away? Are these the only men you had working for you? Professor Wright, is there anything that you want to ask?
No, there isn't. Oh, yes, just one thing. It's all so confusing, you know. But it's strange. I still can't believe that Bartis is the Mad Doctor. Don't you think he's playing with us? Covering up for the real Mad Doctor, that is.
That's possible. We could give you complete police protection if you tell us the truth. Are you the Mad Doctor, yes or no?
No, another man killed those girls.
Then, where is he?
He escaped. When he suddenly realized that you were just about to break into the house, he escaped, taking Gomar with him through a secret passageway.
Gomar?
Yes, the monster that murdered those 4 policemen that night. And now the doctor will try to murder me because I know too many facts. I need protection. Do you hear? You've got to give me protection!
Well, all you have to do is cooperate with the law. Tell us who the Mad Doctor is.
The man you're trying to find is...
There's no danger. Tell us. Don't you know you're surrounded by the police?
The Mad Doctor is...
The man's gone. I suppose that it was his heart.
Anyone leaving here needs my permission. The autopsy will tell us if he died a natural death. I can't rule out murder. Someone in here could be the Mad Doctor. These 2 small objects here were responsible for Boris's death. Inside this cylinder here, there's a very powerful firing mechanism that fired a tiny little poisoned needle. And this morning, the coroner located that needle in the man's heart. The killer had that little weapon locked in his teeth, and he had to bite down to fire it. There's a spring in this. It's silent and very powerful.
Ah, then the killer lost this cylinder?
He spit it out in the other room. Anyone could have done it without being noticed.
Inspector, now that we know where the needle came from, we can locate exactly where the killer stood the instant he fired.
That's not going to help us. You see, the needle entered his body at a fantastic velocity. But it wasn't the blow against the heart that murdered the individual. The poison took a second to get to the brain. He had sufficient time to turn around, and that means he was in another position when the needle struck.
Are you trying to say that among the persons standing there in that room, at least 9 or 10 as I recall, that you'll find the criminal?
Exactly. And I'm sure you're aware that I'm unable to arrest the whole group of suspects either.
The Mad Doctor could be anyone, right? You, Tommy. Or some other detective. One of those punks, too. Or you, Professor.
That's right.
Once again, I made the police look like fools. Boris tried to turn me in, but he paid dearly for his treachery. Did you kill him, Chief? Naturally, I did. I reward my employees quite well, as long as they're faithful to me. On the other hand, the traitors will pay with their lives. Don't you forget that for 1 second.
Don't you worry about me. I'm no stool pigeon, Chief.
No, no. Of course you're not. And now, you are to go out and locate 3 or 4 men that I can confide in. I'll explain why. We've got to reorganize the group. Once and for all, I've got to get rid of that detective and his stupid sidekick. He's ruining my plans. I'm going to make a good trap. I'm sure his death is not going to be pretty. I swear. And now, listen, because there are things that you are to do. You will go to a certain house.
Gloria, that girl is really a tremendous wrestler.
She's extraordinary. Bravo, you were great.
Hey, look who's here.
Any news?
Not yet.
How long will that madman run around free, killing other girls?
Well, I know why you're impatient, but he's going to be caught soon. Don't worry.
He sure is. The Mad Doctor's going to be back soon, but now we're prepared.
Yeah? In what way?
Well, look. I'd like you to use these watches here.
Hey, these are cute.
Well, actually, they were made to help the police. They're not watches, they're transmitting and receiving sets. Now, you're not going to forget to wear these.
Yours are just like the ones that we're wearing.
They're useful little gadgets. In case any of you find yourselves up against it, you only have to push this button. That'll send a signal out. Right? Then I'll be able to find you.
That's marvelous, really.
You're the marvelous one, you lovely redhead.
I'd say the same thing about you. You 5-foot lightning bolt.
Can the kidding around you two. We got lots of work.
This woman loves me dearly.
See you later. Come on.
My.
Police station. This is very urgent, please. I'd like to speak to the Detective Bureau.
Detective Bureau.
I'd like to speak to the captain. This matter is important.
You say you want to talk to the captain? Just a minute, I don't think he's here.
He came in just a second ago.
Hold on, he just got in. Captain, you're wanted on the telephone.
Thank you. Captain Henderson.
This is Professor Wright, Captain. I'm calling you because my house was attacked by the men of the Mad Doctor.
The Mad Doctor, you say? Are you sure you're all right?
Yes, Captain, but could you come to my house immediately? Do me that favor.
I'll be directly there, sir.
Captain Henderson, come in, won't you please, sir?
Stay where you are.
What is this, Professor?
You don't know how sorry I am, Captain, but they forced me to do this. They threatened to kill me.
Turn around. Get your hands up. Grab him. Let's go. If you value your life, Professor, don't move from this spot for 10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Oh, yes, just a moment. She's right here. Professor Wright is on the phone, Gloria.
How are you, Professor? You mean... But that's terrible. He says that Mike and Tommy have been kidnapped by the men working for the Mad Doctor. Okay, we'll be there in 20 minutes.
Hey, no, just a minute. Aren't you forgetting these?
Gosh, you're right. Thanks, Professor. I'll talk to you about this later. No, don't you do anything. So long for now.
Look, Gloria, if they find they're in terrible danger, they'll be calling us here, isn't that right? So the only thing we can do is wait.
Yes, only suppose they kill them before they can use their radios.
Good evening, gentlemen. I hope that my men have not mistreated you unnecessarily. Due to the fact that you are continually sticking your noses into my business, I have decided to get rid of you two permanently. Once you are no longer in my way, it will be simple to capture the lady wrestlers. Take them to the death chamber.
Have a nice trip.
Have a nice trip. Is this a ship they've thrown us into? What's this?
Gloria, listen. Can you hear me?
Come in. Come in, Mike.
Can you hear? Listen, we're in a trap, Gloria.
Yes, I can, only where at?
I don't know. The doctor's men tied our hands and they blindfolded us also. Now listen. I'm going to turn on a constant sound wave that you will be able to receive. If you follow it, you'll find us.
You better hurry, honey, or we're not going to walk to the altar together.
Don't say such things, small hero. I'll be there like white lightning.
We'd better hurry.
I hope they're getting our signal.
I think they are. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. There must be a hole around here.
There's got to be some way out.
But where?
We'll find it.
The harder we push against this thing, the harder it pushes back.
Go right straight ahead, Gloria. The sound is coming in much stronger in this direction.
Look out! Don't let him get his hands on you.
Do you think I need your advice?
Hang on, Tommy, you're going to fall. Come on!
It's beginning to weaken, Gloria. You'd better take the next street. Now the waves are coming in.
Try not to fall. You're doing fine. Hold on.
The wave is coming in, and it's getting much stronger in this direction.
Hey, not so much noise.
Try to hold on and stop now.
Do you think I'm a machine?
Try to stiffen your legs.
But this is impossible. This is the same place where we captured Boris the other night.
This is where the sound is the strongest. You can hear it.
Any ideas?
Let's go in.
We're going to need the crowbar, Gloria.
Don't you think it's strange that they returned to this house?
Listen, you don't think Boris has come back to life, do you?
Oh, don't talk nonsense. Here we are, boys.
Tommy!
Gloria! Ruby!
Tom, where are you? Can you hear us calling?
Yes!
Are you close to us?
Yes, only I'm behind the Iron Curtain. Try to hold on, they're coming in. Gloria, Ruby.
We can hear you. How'd they get you in there?
There's a button on the floor. Step on it. It's underneath the lever. Help me. Help me get him down, girls. Let's get out of here.
You take care of these guys here.
Yes, sir.
The Mad Doctor. Come on. The laboratory is going to blow up very soon. There's nothing we can do for this man.
I guess this is the end of the Mad Doctor then.
You know, it's a shame we couldn't find out his real identity. But he's paid for all his crimes now.
Tommy, the slab's gonna blow sky high. Too bad we can't stick around for the fireworks. Come on, you guys. Come on. Whoo! Get going.
Gomar! Hurry! Get me out of here!
Gloria, Ruby,
What happened, Dick?
have you girls seen Mary Carmichael?
No, we haven't. What happened to her?
I don't know, but 2 days ago she left her house and didn't return, and no one knows where she disappeared to.
Is it possible?
Harry, we're coming to the end of the road. A road that you and I have traveled together. I think it's time now that you learned my true identity. Nothing matters to me anymore. My only desire is to make that girl pay for what she did to me. Look!
It's you. It's not possible.
As I said, she didn't return. I think something happened to her. So I'll telephone the police immediately.
Gloria, someone wants you on the phone.
Oh, thanks. Hello? This is she. Hello, Professor. It's nice to hear your voice again.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Tell me, how are you feeling?
Why, I feel fine, sir. And you? Hard at work the way you always are.
Oh, there's nothing to it. Gloria, I was thinking that I'd like to watch you wrestle again. Tell me, are you contracted to wrestle abroad in the near future?
No. No, I'll stay here until at least March. Listen, I'll send you free tickets if you like.
No, I'm grateful to you, but don't bother to. The truth is that I still don't know when I can get away. But I promise you this, I won't wait long. I'll see you very soon, Gloria.
So long, Professor.
I'll keep that promise to you, young lady. And then... vengeance. My vengeance! And you two are going to help me carry it out. You, Gomar. You that are part human and half beast, and I created you. It's my plan to use your physical strength and transplant it into the body of this woman here. She's going to destroy Gloria Venus. She'll pull her body to pieces. Yes, a legal killing in the ring for all the audience to see. You're going to help with the operation. We'll start immediately. She's alive! She made it! Your name is Vendetta. Vendetta! I created you for my own use. Do you understand? You are to obey me. You are to do as I command you. You inherited the strength I had given to Gomar. But now your new brain is only a slave with which I'll make you act. And now I'll transmit orders to you, although I stay at a very great distance. You'll obey the commands I send. You'll not protest. You simply cannot. Tremble, Gloria Venus. Vendetta, who I created for my use, is your destruction. Get up now. Destroy that table there. Do as I say! Tremble, Gloria Venus! Tremble!
She's from Paris, and she uses a mask. She hides her identity, but her name is Vendetta. And through her public relations man, she has challenged our present champion, Gloria Venus. It is said that the winner gets $2,400, and we would like to predict that the crowds will pack the house. Do you accept the challenge, Gloria?
I have no objections, and you can inform all the fans that I'll accept a fighter because I like a good challenge. I'll do my best to win this one also. I know my fans want that.
Fellas, here's Vendetta.
I don't know why it is, but when she entered, I began to get this hideous feeling.
Could you say why it is you hide your face behind that mask?
It'll be very difficult for her to understand you. She doesn't speak English, I'm afraid. Now, here you have the man who handles Vendetta.
All the lengths that people will go to attract publicity for themselves.
Ah, Gloria. Here's the girl you'll be fighting.
It's a pleasure to know you.
Excuse me, please. I think it's time we signed the contract. Now, everything is written out according to the spoken agreement. Miss Vendetta, would you be kind enough to come over here and sign the contract?
Vendetta, you ought to go over to the desk. Sit down. Take the pen and sign your name. Vendetta.
Tonight we present the greatest wrestling match in history, fighting for a $25,000 purse, Vendetta versus Gloria Venus. And in the semifinal, the American Cyclone, the Golden Ruby versus the Gazelle.
Be careful tonight. I don't know why, but there's something I don't like about her. She has such a sinister look in her eyes.
Don't worry about it. I know I'll be all right.
Okay, but you keep your wits about you all through the fight.
You ready?
Ready.
Good luck.
Thanks.
A purse of $25,000 goes to the winning wrestler. They'll wrestle 2 falls out of 3, and the time is unlimited. In this corner, the champion of our country, Gloria Venus! And in this corner is the mystery girl, Vendetta!
All right, these are the rules. When I separate you, I'll count 10 and 20 on the floor.
Run. Get back. Get back. Run faster. Make us suffer. Suffer, Gloria Venus. Suffer.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
doing in this arena, you little rat? Something is going on. Now, is it a trap? Tell me and hurry. Just who is that woman in the ring? Do you hear? What's happening around here? Come on now.
No, I'll talk. Vendetta used to wrestle with you all. Her name is Carmichael. The Mad Doctor gave her tremendous strength. He took a gorilla's brain and transplanted it.
And she wasn't killed?
No. And Professor Wright, is working as her agent.
Here, police! Over here!
No!
Squeeze down on her. What's wrong? The other girl's going in. Get the other girl. Attack the other girl now. Killed both of them.
Come on. What's the matter? Tell me, have you seen a masked man here?
No, Captain.
I want patrols right away. We'll surround this building here. Come on.
Vendetta, listen well. I'm talking to you. Leave the ring. Come to me. I need you. Leave the ring. Vendetta, get here as fast as you can.
Hurry! Do as I tell you. We've got to hurry, Vendetta.
I went out front, they're not there. So that means they must be around here somewhere.
Up there on a ladder, sir.
I knew they couldn't get far. Have them lend us a spotlight from the arena. And you, get this crowd out of here.
cornered?
Here are the spotlights you wanted, Captain.
Thank you. Turn them toward that water tower.
Yes. Yes, there they are.
The problem is how they'll be made to surrender. They might decide to stay there.
They're not coming down.
No, you mustn't go up there.
Professor Wright, you'll gain nothing by staying here. Turn yourself in.
No! No! I know you're trying to get rid of us. What you want to do is to kill Vendetta. But I won't let you destroy my great work. My work!
Listen, Professor.
No! Push him off the tower, Vendetta.
Vendetta will murder him. Shoot!
Dogs! You ruthless dogs! You killed Vendetta! You destroyed my creation!
It's all over now. Don't worry. And your sister's been avenged.
Wow, Tommy, that was a great shot, man. I mean, Tommy was about 500 feet away and just, he picked off Vendetta, and then he got, you know, the mad scientist too. I mean, wow. I mean, Tommy has demonstrated no proficiency or ability at anything throughout this whole movie, and suddenly we find out that he's like a crack sniper. I mean, man, unbelievable. And he just goes, that's that. At the end, he's humble too. God bless him, and that's a good quality for anybody. Some of the problems that you know arise in watching this movie is like, couldn't everybody guess that the mad scientist was Dr. Wright? I mean, come on. It's so obvious. I mean, and why was the doctor doing all these brain transplants in secret? I mean, couldn't he do them publicly? I mean, and why was he doing them? Was there some profit motive? Was some American corporation trying to do some kind of perfume or something? Why was he doing this? I suppose it doesn't matter because it gave him an excuse to have a secret army and a gang of thugs and to wear that real cool mask around throughout the whole thing. And what was that weird bottle of acid doing there anyway that's sitting on the ground for the Golden Ruby to throw in his face? What was that all about? And speaking of the water tower, why did the good-looking detective boyfriend, when he climbs up to the top of the ladder, he's just letting Vendetta like step on his feet or his hands, And then he moves his hands, and then the asesino medico, the mad doctor, steps on his feet again, and he's right next to the ladder. He could walk down at any point, like 2 rungs, and they couldn't step on him, but he insists on kind of hanging and getting his hands crunched. So, I don't know, it's very reminiscent of the 1950s classic. Actually, it's very reminiscent of the late 40s classic American film, that whole water tower scene. White Heat, starring James Cagney. And if you remember the very end of it, he's on a water tower just like that, although there's no Tommy there. I guess maybe there is. I don't really remember the movie too well, but I think it's the same kind of situation. Where Cagney's way up there and he goes, "Look, Ma, I'm on top of the world!" And, you know, maybe that detective boyfriend could have said that, or Vendetta could. And what about Vendetta anyway? I mean, Vendetta, as we know, was Gomar. I mean, and she didn't go to Sweden. Gomar's operation was performed right there, and Gomar became Vendetta, who looked suspiciously like the lady wrestler who fought Golden Ruby at the very beginning of the movie, before any of the plot actually started. Another thing you might take a look at concerning the wrestling scenes, if you analyze them closely and really get into the confibulae of those scenes, is that whenever you see Golden Ruby or Gloria Venus wrestling, you kind of look and you go, wow, that they seem a lot bulkier and a lot more square and rotund than they did, you know, in the normal scenes. Well, the reason is, of course, they've got like stunt wrestling, doubles wrestling. But take a look at that and you'll see the kind of the bulky Gloria Venus and the rotund, more brick poop house style Golden Ruby on those. Now, students, it is time for me to confirm, to make sure that you got the correct answer, that your answers are absolutely, perfidiously right, appropriate, and correct to our pop quiz number 2. And that pop quiz, as you remember, I asked you, what was the name of the legendary Mexican masked superhero who starred along with Lorena Velázquez in Lorena Velázquez's first film, a 1961 film? What was his name? He starred in a series of films. And then for extra credit, I asked you, what was the name of the movie? I hope you excelled and did a little homework and got on the computer and really did some research. And if you did, you will realize that the name of that masked superhero who starred in Lorena Velázquez's first wrestling film is Santo, or Samson. And the name of the movie, her very first 1961 movie, is Santos versus the Zombies. So, I hope you got that. That was a lot of fun. And Santos did many movies, as did another wrestler named the Blue Demon. And there were several other Mexican wrestlers who were also very, very popular in that time. And they were real wrestlers. And that's how that went. Why don't we take a look now into the career and the whole life of K. Gordon Murray. As I stated earlier, K. Gordon Murray inundated, if you will, flooded the American movie market in the 1950s and 1960s with inexpensive foreign imports on a variety of subjects: children's movies, monster movies, adventure movies, any kind of movie you could think of, from virtually every country in the world. As I said earlier, making you wonder what country or what planet you were on as you were watching them. They were all dubbed, again, according to the way people's lips move, not according to the content of what they were saying. So that sort of added to the incredible discombobulated incoherency of these films. And again, as we discussed earlier, everything that K. Gordon Murray produced, most everything, except for the first few movies, were dubbed in his Coral Gables Sound Lab studios. K. Gordon Murray brought us such absolute classic films as Wrestling Women versus the Aztec Mummy, Brainiac, The Witch's Mirror, and Curse of the Doll People, a personal favorite of Professor Fred's. I have shown that film several times in the 1980s at nightclubs and always got a really good response. A brilliant K. Gordon Murray movie. He also did Samson in the Wax Museum and many other wonderful films. Well, students, I hope you've enjoyed today's movie, Doctor of Doom, starring Lorena Velázquez and Elizabeth Campbell, directed by Rene Cardona. I know I did, and I hope that this Las Luchaderas film, this film of bounteous yet somewhat bulky wrestling women, will start you on a brilliant career and brilliant hobby of collecting and watching Mexican wrestling movies, because there's so many of them. They're so available, and they're so much fun. They're just absolutely putridly divine and wonderful, and in every way aesthetically discombobulated. And I love them, and I know you will too. And I know you'll want to add this film to your Mexican wrestling women movie collection. Well, I think that's about it. Some fleeting comments would be, when you watch this movie again, notice the fact that when Gloria and the Golden Ruby fight the bad guys in the regular studio in offices or whatever, they don't do any wrestling moves, because sadly, of course, they don't really know any. So they're just kind of hitting and just doing American type punching. But that's just sort of an inside Hollywood thing, and you can either dismiss it or pay attention to it, whichever you want. Class is over, but I cannot allow Igor to unchain you, because he's been working on some more wrestling pin down moves. So you've got to stay put and watch Igor do his Mexican wrestling Las Luchaderas thing. Igor, rock it and roll it.